How are we all? We got some fights to talk about today.
Dude, imagine that. We've got fights.
I got overexcited and watched Gaethje's whole UFC back catalogue yesterday.
Did it take 2 minutes?
I tell you what, and I'm not going to say too much because obviously I want to do a full war room on it as far as the technical stuff. But dude, he's just a scrappy mess. I mean, like even like in his last, literally, there's been a complete change in the way that he goes about his fight since those 2 losses.
Yes.
Like he was doing the same thing for 18 something fights. Then he came into the UFC, was struggling against Michael Johnson, almost got knocked out in the first round.
Yeah.
But then basically the same system that he's always been using finally managed to come through. Then he picked up a loss and was like, that was bound to happen at some point. Never changed anything. Picked up a second loss and was like, okay, shit, now it's time for me to make some improvements.
But almost like a mirror.
Really good. For the last 3 fights, has looked good. Still gets real scrappy, though. I was thinking it was going to be more of like a closer fight until I watched his back catalogue. And then I'm starting to think there's lots of ways that Tony can cause him problems. Because there's a cut above one of Gaethje's eyes. It's above this eye. And it opened up. When did it opened up in the Alvarez fight? Yeah. I don't know whether it's an old scar tissue from there. I need to go back further and watch more. But that opened up in the Alvarez fight. Within 90 seconds of his fight against Poirier, like it was bleeding again. And you saw him. He actually goes literally about 90 seconds into the first round. He goes, like, yeah, it's open again.
Okay. Yeah. See, the thing is, like, Tony he's unorthodox, but it's super planned unorthodox. Do you know what I mean? Like with Gaethje, he's fucking. It's almost a bit like Chuck. Remember back in the day when Chuck had a chin? He was an amazing wrestler. He used it all in reverse, and he had really, really good knockout power. But it's one of them where that chin gets to a point where it gets tested. And obviously with someone like Gaethje, he's not losing from getting knocked out. He's just getting outclassed. Because was it Poirier and Alvarez that just outworked him technically as opposed to like bite down and throw?
Yeah.
The danger is, because Tony's so unorthodox, I can't remember who said to me once, you want to be punching where the person's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if it's hard for someone like Gaethje to watch footage on Tony to know where he's going to be because he's so sporadic. But that's where an insane flash knockout could come from, because Tony's moving into a place where Gaethje's just swinging. And that's where it becomes mad dangerous, because like Tony can't plan against Gaethje's mentalness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
You mean the other way around? Gaethje can't plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like Gaethje's really good at cutting the octagon down and forcing people back, but like up until those 2 losses, he was doing it in a real hard-headed, like I can't be knocked out kind of way. Whereas after those losses, it was like he's far more. I mean, the last one I watched obviously was the Cowboy fight, and there were moments in that where he was stepping in, he was hitting, and then he wasn't there to be hit afterwards, and then landing his low kicks.
Yeah,
he just looked much better. I don't even think his cut opened up in that fight either. But like, if fights like that, then he's got a good chance of catching Tony with something. Because like I keep going back to the times when I've seen Tony hurt, and he does that forward roll.
Yeah.
And Lando Venata. Do you remember when Venata came into the UFC, like
short notice debut,
right? And nearly knocked him out, didn't he, in that first round?
Yeah.
If Gaethje lands one of those right hands,
this is what I'm about to say.
That's the issue.
You know when Pettis got
Pettis him.
When he clipped him and he started like glitching like a video game, doing super rolls. If Gaethje had hit him with that same punch, would he have got up? Because the thing is, it's that difference in power. Look at what he did to Edson Barboza. Like
James Vick, man.
James Vick was bad, but Barboza was just on the edge. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Vick was more like a bigger tree falling down, whereas Barboza looked like a dead spider on the floor.
Didn't he? He did. He looked like a beetle on the.
Yeah. That was all karma of all universes coming together for Terry Etim to be like, "Hey Terry, how'd you feel about that knockout with Barboza?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm over it now." It's like, "We've got your back, dude. Hold my beer."
Yeah.
And Gaethje just fucking flew in. and that was on the end. That was on the super end of his punch,
Mm.
and he walked off like he planned it.
Well, so this is the thing, because we're gonna do some kind of inside the octagon for the event as well. But I mean, the war rooms will be the ones where I'll talk more, because you can't shut me up on a war room because we control the edit.
Yeah. And I'm not going to interrupt you.
So there's loads of different things that I've seen in the Gaethje fights where, like that knockout that he landed on James Vick, there were 2 times that he stepped in and tested that range. So like he knew where Vick was going to be. Same thing with
Cowboy.
With Cowboy as well. Same thing. Although Cowboy was catching Cowboy moving forward.
Yeah.
Like he was actually counter striking in that one.
Cowboy almost felt to me like he was ready to lose that fight. That's no disrespect to Cowboy. He's
half the time though, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's come out. Have you seen what it's been out in the papers? Not in the papers, in the press, on socials. There's been a lot of coverage of Cowboy saying he realised a week before the Conor fight he didn't want to be there, wasn't interested. But it's a narrative I've heard on Cowboy a lot. We heard it a lot building up before he had a kid. Then when he had danger, he sort of felt refocused and was like, "Yo, I'm on this." I mean, what you got to look at is the last 2 people he's faced, Conor and just engaging.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 2 fucking savages.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
When you don't
he's not getting easy fights. But he always struggles with the psychology of it, which is why he has to fight so regularly.
Exactly. Well, yeah, true.
Part of the reason why he's so active, and some fighters just like to stay busy. I like to stay busy back in the day, because then I didn't have to constantly build up to a fight. I was always kind of in that cycle,
Yeah.
So a fight a month was good for me. I think for Cowboy, it's easier because the last time he felt that uncomfortable wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
If a lot of time passes between fights, there's time for that to chill out and to relax, and then all of a sudden to realize it's coming upon you again and start getting anxious.
Yeah, and anxiety is a motherfucker. It doesn't matter how you face it in your day-to-day life. Everyone gets a little bit. Some people get more than others. But if you imagine if that's your job, you get anxious about your job, and you almost build this defense mechanism that is, if I'm in it and I'm balls deep in it, then it's sort of, you live in that uncomfortable state and you get used to it and you can handle it. Whereas, like say, if you're out of it for 2 minutes, then you have to dip back in. So I know a lot of people, they pass the driving test because they need to. Then they don't drive for a few months, and then they're like, "Oh, I'm scared to get back in." You're like, "The fuck you on about?"
It's like working out, though. It's like Henry Rollins talks about it, and I've always loved the way that he put it, because he said it's like a muscle in itself, and he calls the muscle something like, "I don't want to, but here I go," or "I don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway." And I'll tell you this. I mean, this is personal experience, and I know this, and I've fallen into this trap a few times myself when I knew it was coming. After a fight, if I take a week off, getting back in the gym a week later is so difficult.
Yeah.
Because tolerance for hard work drops off almost immediately.
Yeah.
If I give myself 2 days and then start training light again from Tuesday or Wednesday, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If I give myself a week off, it's literally like a tolerance. It's like your tolerance drops off, and you have to kind of build that tolerance back up again. And it's the same. I think a lot of fighters struggle with anxiety in the same way. Like they have to build their tolerance up to the anxiety, and then they stay close to that anxious line, so it doesn't become unfamiliar.
But that's why I think it's so emotional in the cage. The amount of times you'll see almost like a wave crashing over fighters. I mean, that Mark DeCasey, when he won his last one and was just beyond emotion, because obviously was it 3 in a row, 4 in a row that he's lost? Something
like that, yeah.
And then obviously managed to put it all together, had a good performance. But it's that absolute overwhelming feel. I think, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I think it's a good place to be. I mean, I'm looking forward to see Cowboy. I mean, the whole card's insane. The fact that the amount of good fights we've got is fucking sick. I'm just excited to be able to see something. Yo!
Cool, isn't it?
Is that Ninjago?
Yeah, man.